and welcome to our finance mini-series. I'm Dr. Robert Clarke, and today's video is on macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is the study of the economy as a whole. It deals with large-scale economic issues such as inflation, unemployment, economic growth, and government policy. It seeks to look at the economy from a 10,000-foot view, hence the name macro. Macroeconomic analysis helps us understand how the overall economy is performing and what actions can be taken to improve it. One of the most important and commonly referred to metrics in macroeconomics is gross domestic product, GDP. GDP measures the total value of all goods and services produced within a country's border over a specific period of time. It's an important indicator of economic growth and can help policymakers identify areas of the economy that need more attention. GDP is made up of components, being consumer spending, investment, government spending, and net exports. Exports minus imports. GDP is usually represented by a percentage growth over the previous period. The most useful measure of GDP is real GDP, which is GDP that has been adjusted for the effects of inflation. Now, inflation is another truly important macroeconomic indicator. It can mean different things to different people, as in there are people who view inflation solely as the increase in the money supply, or M2. However, generally, for macroeconomic purposes, inflation is the pace at which the overall price level of goods and services within an economy is increasing. This is commonly reflected via a measure called CPI, the Consumer Price Index. High inflation can be a sign that an economy is overheating, while low inflation can be a sign of a sluggish economy. Hence, policymakers have a sweet spot that they like to target via their set of policy tools they have available. Unemployment is another very important macroeconomic metric. It measures the percentage of the workforce that is unemployed and actively seeking work. High unemployment can indicate a weak economy, while low unemployment can indicate a strong economy. This is pretty inherent if you would think about your personal situation or that of your family. If the economy is strong, it's generally easy to find jobs, easy to find work. In a weaker economy, it's not so easy. Now, when it comes to policy, the government can use its spending and taxation policies to influence the economy. For example, if the government wants to stimulate economic growth, it can increase its spending on infrastructure projects, the effect of which will create jobs and increase economic activity. Alternatively, if the government wants to slow down an economy, it can raise taxes, which will then reduce consumer spending, or it can spend less money itself, which will reduce economic activity. Today, I'll give you two real-world examples of macroeconomic policy in effect. I'll give two examples from the country of Colombia, as I personally spend quite an amount of time in that country. Many years ago, during the government of Uribe, starting in 2003, I believe, Colombia applied 100% income tax exemption on new hotels. Foreign money flooded into the country, resulting in many tens of thousands of new hotel rooms being built, new Hiltons, new Marriotts, etc. The effect of this was to increase GDP and decrease unemployment. More recently, as of October 22, under the Petro government, Colombia has added additional taxes to the petroleum industry. at the same time as they are disallowing new exploration. Now, all things being equal, we expect that this will reduce investment in the exploration and extraction industries, will reduce employment in those industries, and will have a negative impact on GDP. Those are just two real-world examples of very basic macroeconomic principles in play. Monetary policy, on the other hand, as opposed to fiscal policy, is controlled by the central bank. This involves adjusting interest rates and the monetary supply to influence economic activity. When the central bank lowers interest rates, it can encourage borrowing and spending, which can stimulate economic growth. Conversely, when the central bank raises interest rates, it can discourage borrowing and spending, which can slow down economic growth and control inflation. Typically, the idea is that a central bank should be independent of the government so that it can maintain sound policy that is insulated from political interference. Sadly, as I'm sure many of you are aware, this sometimes doesn't happen, leading to inflation or hyperinflation, the destruction of people's savings and the destruction of people's purchasing power. Sadly, this year and in recent years, we've seen this around the world, with this happening in Lebanon in the Middle East, Argentina in South America, to Nigeria and Ghana in Africa. In wrapping up today's video, I hope you can now see why macroeconomics is a critical field of study that helps us understand the machinations of an economy from a high level. The general idea being that by having this understanding, policymakers can make more informed decisions about fiscal and monetary policy in order to improve economic conditions for their people. Likewise, as an investor or as an analyst, it's also very critical that you have an understanding of macroeconomics. Thank you for joining me, and I hope this video has been of use to you.